I was having a good time with my love. It was raining outside. Gentle drops of water kissed the windows of our small one-room apartment. The curtains danced a little with the breeze sneaking through the cracked frame. I was curled up on the floor, my head resting on Caleb's chest. His fingers traced lazy circles on my arm. There was no music playing, but his heartbeat was enough to make a song. "I wish this moment would stay forever," I whispered. Caleb smiled. "Then don't leave. That's the thing about love. It's never simple." I wanted to stay, forever, wrapped in that fragile warmth. But real life has a way of knocking on the door when you're busy dreaming. I had known Caleb since college. We weren't from rich families. We both worked double shifts. He fixed computers and delivered groceries. I worked at a diner and cleaned offices at night. We didn't have much, but we had each other. But love doesn't pay bills. 3 months later, Caleb lost his job. The little savings we had dried up. I remember watching him walk to job interviews with his only ironed shirt, worn at the collar. He came home late and silent. We stopped eating dinner together. Sometimes we didn't eat at all. One night, he held my face in his hands and said, "You deserve better, Mary. You deserve peace." "I don't want peace without you," I said, but he looked away. That week, I saw an ad. A wealthy man needed a live-in assistant for his estate. Good pay, free accommodation. No personal attachments, it said. Just dedication. I applied, and I got the job. That was the day I left Caleb. He held my suitcase. He didn't ask me not to go. He only kissed my forehead and whispered, "Don't forget me." I promised I wouldn't. But life is cruel. Sometimes we forget without meaning to. The estate was like something out of a painting. Tall white pillars, endless glass walls, rooms with no names. The billionaire, Mr. Harrow, was a quiet man with deep eyes and a cane. He spoke softly but with command. I worked in silence, obeyed without question, and in return, I had food, clothes, and a bed warmer than any I'd ever slept in. But nothing felt like home. I thought of Caleb every night. His laughter, his rough hands, the way he said my name like it was a song. But I never called him. I didn't write. I told myself it was for his own good. Years passed. I got used to quiet halls and empty parties. Mr. Harrow was kind, but distant. I watched guests in silk gowns laugh at jokes that weren't funny. I served wine. I folded napkins. I smiled. Then one night, everything changed. There was a gala. Important people filled the house with their perfumes and secrets. I was in the hallway, carrying a tray of desserts, when I heard a voice. A voice I hadn't heard in 5 years. "Caleb." I dropped the tray. My knees buckled, but I caught myself on the wall. I turned slowly. He was taller, his face more tired, but beautiful still. He wore a suit, nothing fancy. His eyes scanned the crowd like he was looking for someone he hadn't seen in a long time. I wanted to run to him, but my feet stayed stuck. I was in a servant's uniform. He was a guest. I followed him quietly as he slipped away from the crowd and into the hallway that led to the master bedroom. My heart raced. He opened the door. I stepped in after him. He turned sharply. "Mary." His voice cracked on my name. "Caleb, what are you doing here?" He looked like he'd seen a ghost. "I work in tech now." I was invited. "But what about you? You live here." I shook my head. "I just work here." Silence stretched between us like glass, fragile and sharp. "I looked for you," he said finally. "For years." Tears filled my eyes. I thought I was doing the right thing. "You needed peace." I thought if I left, you took my peace with you. My hands trembled. I wanted to fall into him, to cry in his arms. But footsteps echoed outside the hall. I panicked. "Someone's coming," I whispered. "Hide, there's nowhere." Without thinking, I grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the grand bed. I lifted the silk cloth that hung from it and pushed him under. A second later, Mr. Harrow entered. I stood straight, heart pounding. He looked at me strangely. "Are you all right, Mary?" "Yes, sir." He nodded and walked to his wardrobe. I stood frozen, my hands clenched. Below, Caleb was lying under the bed of the man I worked for. The man I served. The man whose home kept me alive all these years while the only person I ever loved was hidden beneath him. It was too much. My soul cracked. When Mr. Harrow left, I fell to my knees and whispered under the bed, "He's gone." Caleb crawled out slowly. He sat beside me. For a long time, we didn't speak. The silence between us was heavy with memories. "You've changed," he said quietly. "So have you." He touched my hand. His fingers were still warm. "I still love you," he said. And I broke. I leaned into him, his arms wrapped around me. We didn't kiss. We just held on, like the world outside could wait. And in that embrace, I felt something I had forgotten, home. But I knew it couldn't last. I pulled back. I can't leave this place. Not yet. He nodded. Then I'll wait. You've waited long enough. Love is about waiting, Mary. About sacrifice. You left because you loved me. Now I'll stay because I love you. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to hold on. But the truth is, life had changed us. We were no longer the same kids who held each other in the rain. Still, when he left the room that night, I kept his scent in my hands. Months passed. We didn't speak again. He didn't come back to the estate. But I saw him, in the news, on billboards. He became a name in tech, a quiet storm, but he never married. Neither did I. One winter evening, Mr. Harrow called me to his study. He was sick. His voice was weaker. You've given me years of your life, he said. I want to give something back. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a deed, a small cottage in the hills. I know you have a heart that still waits for someone. Go find him. I wept. I packed. When I knocked on Caleb's door, I expected anger, or silence. He opened the door and smiled. I knew you'd come. We didn't speak much that day. We just sat, and held each other. Love doesn't need words, only embrace. Years later, we live in that cottage. I plant flowers. He writes code. At night, we lie in bed, our backs warm against each other. Sometimes he teases me. Remember when I hid under the billionaire's bed? I laugh. A soft, sad laugh. Yes, I remember. But what I remember more is the feeling of that night, the pain of lost years, the weight of choices, and the simple, beautiful power of his arms around me. Love is not perfect. It's messy. It's sacrifice. It's silence. It's pain. But above all, it's this. The moment you finally come home, and the person you love still opens the door. Even after everything.